Hey folks, regardless of how amazing Tears of the Kingdom appears to me, I cannot escape hearing a side of the fandom that believes the game is bad. Okay, very hot take to start a video, I know, and I apologise. Well, maybe not a bad game per se, but a bad sequel. A lazy sequel. I often read comments in response to some praise I've given the game, and often they're just unloading about how the game isn't actually that good and why it's just a lazy sequel that does everything wrong as a continuation to the previous game. At first, I thought this was just a few people. Naturally, we all have our opinions and we all like different things. That's absolutely fine. But the amount of comments just outright shouting about how this game is a lazy sequel became a bit odd to me. A lot of these comments would make a very big point without much to back up why. So the feelings are there, but not being fully expressed as to why it's a lazy sequel in the eyes of some. I don't get it, but it has intrigued me to think more about this topic in depth. As a long-time hardcore Zelda fan, I naturally have a bias towards these games, but I'm going to try and remove those feelings as much as possible and look at this in terms of video games as a whole. Is Tears of the Kingdom, as a video game, by modern day standards, a good/creative sequel or a bad/lazy sequel? Important info to remember, I'm not judging how creative or lazy the game itself is, rather how it plays the role of a sequel. In fact, let's play a game in the comments real quick. Right now, before we get into all of the juicy juice of this discussion, get a comment started with if you think the game is a creative or lazy sequel, and then at the end of the video after the discussion, we'll come back to those thoughts and see if they've remained the same or changed. No cheating, don't be a cheater. Also, I've got 2 bits of exciting news to share with you at the end of the video, so stick around. Anyway, I think I've described our topic enough now. Just one last thing to do. Do you know what it is? Well, we're coming on 150k subs, and reaching that milestone would be so awesome. Sorry, I'm a YouTuber, and you know, I have to do that. So be sure to subscribe. Alright, let's do this. Be sure to go grab yourself a snack or drink and send them in via any of my socials linked below to get featured right here. And let's get into this one. So I want to answer the question of if this game is a creative or lazy sequel, right? Well, a good place to start would be to ask ourselves, what makes a good sequel? There have been countless examples of both good and bad sequels in the world. This happens in every form of media. Video games, movies, TV series, books, and so on. Sure, it is subjective on how you see this, but objectively and technically, I would say you can identify a more creative and good sequel as well as a lazy and bad sequel. Making a good sequel in my eyes needs to do a few things. One, and arguably the most important, it needs to expand the story of the previous installment. If that is done, then it falls as a creative success for me. However, if this fails, then it doesn't so much expand the story, but rather drags it on from the previous installment. 2. Whilst it being a continuation of an already existing story, it still needs to be able to stand by itself in its own respect. If it can't do that, then it really falls into that dreaded, glorified DLC category of sequels, which isn't always bad. I mean, look at Mario Galaxy 2. Personally, I really like that game as a sequel. However, it doesn't always work out that way, and it's even harder when the game is a big, expansive story-driven game like The Legend of Zelda. Third and finally, it needs to offer something new, whether that be mechanically or part of the plot. Ideally both. Those 3 things are in my mind what makes or breaks a good sequel. Expanding the story, being able to stand by itself whilst also being a sequel and offering something new. But has Tears of the Kingdom achieved these 3? Well, it's complicated. Complicated. Cheers Avril, much appreciated for joining me in the video.
Yeah, so when are you gonna pay me?
Yeah, I'll send that payment right now. Yep, thanks again. Let's take a look at some of the reasons it's complicated. Creative points of the sequel and lazy points of the sequel. And keep in mind, this is my opinion and view. You may disagree, and that's okay. I sat down and did some reflection on the game, and here are my points for and my points against. Starting with a point for creativity. In my opinion, Tears of the Kingdom builds on what Breath of the Wild set down. In fact, I'd say it builds on it a lot. There are some connecting problems, I will admit, and we'll get to those. But generally speaking, I genuinely did feel as if this was a fun and enjoyable continuation of the last adventure. Using the same base game world was always going to be tricky. You need to change it enough as well as add on enough. The game does this well. Hyrule has new settlements, landscape changes, new characters, and a lot of new problems. One of which is very, very attractive. Going into the game, I kind of thought Hyrule would be the weakest part of this world, but I gotta be honest, I felt so motivated and intrigued to re-explore the kingdom and discover all of the changes, from big changes such as some of the new settlements and expansions to existing locations, to smaller ones like new characters bringing life to the world. There are also 2 new maps to explore, the high-rise Sky Islands and the Deep Depths. Both of them are visually really nice. They do lack a little bit of content for me, more so the depths, but they do contain a significant amount of lore to discover and theorize about, which makes up a fair amount in what I feel they lack in content. The world has truly aged since our last adventure. Characters have grown up a little. Some characters have even brought new life into the world. It has been built up from Breath of the Wild at what feels like a healthy rate. Now, as mentioned, there are some connection issues. That was weird. Mainly in terms of continuity, but for me personally, none of them are that big a deal, nor do they really affect my view here. Overall, I feel Tears of the Kingdom positively builds on Breath of the Wild in a creative manner. New characters, new settlements, new developments in the world, and just an enjoyable experience to discover and rediscover. Keeping on the topic of points for creativity, the new mechanics this game introduced are in my opinion crucial to this creativity point, and I feel that is underappreciated. The new abilities that Link gains with his new Zonai arm are really cool. Fuse to fuse items to weapons and shields, Ascend to ascend through surfaces, Recall to recall time and reverse movement, and of course Ultra Hand plus Auto Build to build Zonai creations and other crazy ideas. Heck, this ability alone has already started its own genre of YouTube videos. These existing and taking the place of the old abilities is insanely crucial, as without them, whether that's just no abilities at all, or Link still using the old champion abilities, it wouldn't add much spice to the world. These new abilities allow us to connect with the new Kingdom of Hyrule in ways we never could in the past. It unlocks new ways to explore the world, and that is underappreciated if you ask me. It's a very vital piece of what makes exploring the same kingdom exciting. The new mechanics as a whole bring out the best of the world. And my final point for creativity, the fan feedback has been turned into significant improvements with the game. This applies to how Tears of the Kingdom functions as a sequel. The Zelda team is well known for taking in fan feedback and using it to help shape their next game, often making significant changes in order to fix the biggest complaints. Obviously, we cannot say for sure that these changes were made due to this, but it's fairly likely that somewhere. The points I want to focus on are the changes to dungeons and the amount of side quests / adventures. Now, side quests and adventures aren't directly creative points in terms of being a sequel, but some of them do expand the character depth of characters we first met in Breath of the Wild. It's little touches like that which win this point for creativity. But the real meat and gravy of this point is the dungeons. Just like Breath of the Wild, there are many opinions. In my view, these dungeons are a significant step up. They are not perfect or peak Zelda dungeons by any means, but for the second attempt at 3D open world Zelda dungeons, they were decent, and all tied into the world in a way that made sense. That is the important part. Obviously, they all appear thanks to the upheaval, but it's the story behind them all which I love. The Storm Arc Wind Temple is an old fairy tale song to tell kids. The Fire Temple is part of a long lost part of Goron history. The Water Temple is the source of Zora's domain's water, and the Lightning Temple is a long forgotten tale. Oh, and the Spirit Temple is of Zonai origins, which in itself, pretty cool. The biggest criticism of the Divine Beasts in Breath of the Wild is that they were all the same aesthetic and style, even extending to the boss battles. They were fun, but they were all too similar. That was fixed and even done creatively in Tears of the Kingdom, adding to the successful side of creating a sequel. Now for the lazy points. There are two massive ones for me, starting with the story format. Don't get me wrong, I love the story at base value. It's a bloody epic, thrilling and emotional adventure, but it's the format that's the issue for me. It's the exact same format as Breath of the Wild, active story paired with memories of the past. Admittedly, the active story this time is much better, but it all feels a little copy and paste, which is something in itself I'll go more into in a moment. I really miss playing the story with Princess Zelda actually being physically in our time frame. Breath of the Wild had her stuck in Hyrule Castle sealing Ganon. Tears of the Kingdom has her sent to the ancient past. She's never actually around, only in the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then again at the very end. I miss meeting with Princess Zelda at different points throughout the story, such as in Twilight Princess. It's not the end of the world, but I can't deny how I feel. It just feels a little lazy, a little uninspired. I get that it's a sequel to the game which started a brand new smash hit formula, but to do it again in the exact same way just felt a little lazy. Even just some minor changes would be enough for me, but oh well. As to that copy and paste point, another point towards the lazy side of this argument goes to the abilities. Now, this may be a bit of a hot or controversial take, as earlier I expressed loving them. And I do. What I don't necessarily love is that it was a straight swap out. Nothing really new about the format of it. I think I'm just someone who likes to see the format changed a little game to game. Not majorly, just little changes to freshen things up. I'm probably going to be slaughtered in the comments for this, but I wish there was a bit more variety in types of abilities. It feels like they just took what the champion's abilities were and basically swapped them. No, I will not expand on that, as I actually don't really know how this would be done better. I just think it could be, and that would be helpful. We are now left at a stage of 2 questions remaining. Firstly, what do I think? I've laid out my points for and against, and now we have to come to a decision. Is the game a creative or lazy sequel? Second question, why is my answer wrong? How does that work, considering I haven't even told you my answer yet? Well, I'm just being honest. There will almost always be someone to disagree with you and call your opinion wrong. I'm just gonna say it as I feel it. That wasn't the actual second question, by the way. Anyway, I believe that Tears of the Kingdom is in fact a... oh boy, here we go. Creative sequel. Considering the fact that this is the first open-air 3D Zelda game sequel, I'm happy with it. It's only the second open-air 3D Zelda game in general as well, and honestly, I feel like adding more to the previous adventure was a very good move, both creatively as a game, but also business-wise. It's definitely not perfect. There is a decent amount of room to improve, and I'm confident the Zelda team will with their next mainline installment. Sequels are tough to get right. You don't want it to be a copy and paste of the prequel, despite that being so successful. You also don't want it too disconnected. It's as if the more different the sequel is, the better. But the hard part in that is keeping it connected to the prequel. Balancing that is tricky, but I feel Nintendo did a good job at managing that balance. Now, for the second big question, and now is the time to pull up those comments you wrote or memorized at the beginning of the video, by the way. Is Tears of the Kingdom a creative or lazy sequel? I'm asking you, has your opinion changed? Has it remained the same? Or are you now unsure? Whatever the case, leave your comments down below, and let's see how we all feel about this question, and let's discuss it together. I will be reading and replying to many comments, so I'll see you lovely folks down there in a little bit. Some additional thoughts I'd like to get out as part of my conclusion is that I really feel like time will tell with this. The longer this game is out, the more chances to replay it, re-explore it, and reconnect with it will come. As of right now, not long after my first playthrough in terms of the main story, I do feel that it is genuinely a good creative sequel. As I said, there are areas to work on, but overall, I do feel like this game continued what Breath of the Wild started very well. Now to the news I mentioned at the beginning of the video. I, Hyrule Gamer, alongside fellow Zelda tuber and great friend and fellow cave boy Triforce Trends, will be attending the Insomnia Gaming Festival in Birmingham, UK this September. We'll be there on both Friday and Saturday and would love to meet you if you're attending the event or in the area. Come say hi and let's chat some Zelda together. Second piece of news, my channel support system is improving. If you didn't already know, you can support the channel via either Patreon or channel memberships. Previously, this would get you a shout out upon joining and your name at the end of all my videos. Now, it'll be not only that, but I'm going to start doing weekly behind the scenes looks at my videos, from script snippets to recording previews. There will be a variety, and this will come at least once per week leading up to a video. You can support the channel via Patreon or YouTube memberships. All tiers will receive the same rewards. The only difference between the two methods is YouTube memberships comes with a cool badge next to them in the comments and access to custom channel emotes. Otherwise, it's all the same. The links to support can be found below. On that topic, of course, a massive shout out goes to all my channel supporters, with a very special mention to new supporters, Ruka and Frank. Thank you very much, you lovely people. Your support is very much appreciated and very helpful when it comes to producing more and more of these fabulous videos. Thank you very much for that. If you'd like to support the channel and get yourself some fun goodies like those sneak peeks of videos, behind the scenes shenanigans, and even a shout out plus your name at the end of my videos, as just mentioned, then the link's below if you're interested. Thanks for watching. I hope you all have an amazing day or night, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.